I'm Jeff Blake, and you're watching Class Act Sports.
Class Act Sports welcomes longtime NFL quarterback, a true class act, Jeff Blake. Jeff, thanks for taking the time to stop by.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We're here in Dallas, Texas, Super Bowl 45.
Yes.
Two of the better quarterbacks in the league, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben Roethlisberger. Are there any similarities that you see in them that you had playing in the league as a quarterback?
I think both of them have pretty good scrambling abilities. Ben has an escapability that I've never seen a big man do. And somehow, some way, he always gets out of those tackles. He's so big and strong. And Aaron is doing a good job of looking down the field, and something's not there, buying time with his feet also, scrambling around. He did an awesome job in the Atlanta game. He played very well in that game. So I think the similarities between those two guys, their running ability. Ben's arm is a little bit stronger. Aaron, I think, is more accurate at times, and Ben can be accurate on the run too. But they're pretty compatible guys. I think they're pretty compatible.
Looking at yourself and your long-time career in the NFL, very successful career, are there any guys in the league right now that you see a little bit of yourself in, and you're like, man, that looks like me out there a little bit?
No, I don't think so. Not right now. I think that the guys have been taught a little bit differently. When I played, we threw the ball down the field a lot more. You don't see guys doing it as much anymore. Mm-hmm. Teams are really concentrating on the running game and the short, medium, the pass game. You don't really see guys airing it out as much. For his footwork and running the football, of course. Athletic ability, of course. Michael Vick, Vince Young, Aaron Rodgers. There's a couple of other guys out there that I think that have good feet and good mobility that can sustain plays while they're playing.
You talk about how the game's changed a little bit. Head injuries, a huge issue for the league, concussions. You were a long-time NFL quarterback, taking a lot of hits back there due to your offensive line issues at times.
Yes.
Do you wish that you had those rules in effect for you to help maybe with the longevity of your career a little bit?
Not really. I think football should be played a certain way. I think sometimes if you mess with it too much, you can take the fun out of the game. And you see a lot of players now lately getting frustrated with the game. Mm-hmm. Some guys thought about even retiring, not even want to play the game, and not play with the fire that they played with before. So I don't think you should take football out of football. Yes, you want to protect people, but yet the game is still a physical game.
You were drafted in 1992 out of East Carolina by the New York Jets in the 6th round. Did you have any doubt if you were going to get drafted as those later rounds were going? What was your thought process? What was going through your mind as the draft was going on?
Of course, I didn't think I would possibly get drafted. I wasn't in Mel Kiper's list of quarterbacks to get drafted. I did go to the combine. I got invited late to the combine. At least I had an opportunity to show myself in front of the NFL scouts and some coaches. But that day really wasn't expecting anything. My expectations weren't really that high. I thought probably at that time it was 12 rounds, so I thought real late, free agent maybe. Had opportunity, and the Jets picked me up in the 6th round. I was very elated about that. I was very excited. I was the second pick in the 6th round. I was 6B. So had opportunity to go up to New York, and that started my whole NFL career.
I want to talk about New York a little bit. You had a short stint there before really finding a niche for yourself in Cincinnati. Did you think when you got drafted by the Jets, okay, this is what I want to do, I'm going to be in New York? And what was that transition like for you to find out that you were going to be out of New York a year or two later?
Well, when I got there, like I said, I was very excited about playing, but you never know where you're going to end up. You never know how long you're going to be there. You never know if you're going to even have opportunity to play or not, especially being a 6th-round draft pick. So I went there and I learned as much as I could. I took everything in. I studied. I watched film. I was there when nobody else was there. I watched film when nobody else was watching film. I was studying my plays when nobody else was studying their plays. I got very familiar with Bruce Cosler's offense. And in turn, having that familiarity of his offense and playing well in the preseason, because I didn't have opportunity to play during the regular season, when Bruce Cosler lost the head coaching job with the Jets, he got the offensive coordinator job in Cincinnati. That's how I got to Cincinnati.
Would you say that he's your favorite coach to have ever played under? And which coach sticks out in your mind when you think of your true head coach in the National Football League?
Probably Bruce. Bruce does, because he drafted me, and I played with Bruce for 7 years, so he was my longest stint that I played with. And the loyalty was definitely there. So you're always going to go with the guy that's your guy, the guy that was very loyal to me, and he gave me the opportunity to build my career.
I want to talk about East Carolina a little bit. You just got inducted a couple years ago into the Hall of Fame. You led your team 11-1, great season. You were a Heisman candidate. What was that like for you, that senior season at ECU? And also compare that to some of your success in the NFL. What was it?
That senior season was a very high ride for all of us. I mean, that was the Cinderella season that you dream about, especially playing in a school like East Carolina, where you played all types of, top Division I schools, but was really never able to compete or even, we competed, but we never could finish and beat them. But that year we were able to somehow get over the hump, somehow believe in ourselves enough as a team and as individuals to go out and compete at a high level and be able to actually win these football games. But like I said, that was an awesome season for us. Compared to the NFL, I have to separate the two. Because once I got out of college and went to the pros, it was a whole nother level, because a whole nother level of speed, whole nother level of learning, whole nother level of playing. Which in the NFL, you don't learn to play in the NFL overnight. It takes time. It takes years. And it actually took about 6 years for the light actually came on to where I really understood as a quarterback what was going on and actually how to read, how to pre-snap read, how to get a jump on the defense before they got a jump on me, how to become one with my offensive coordinator, understand the philosophy of actually what a quarterback does and what his job is, my mechanics, my technique, all those things gelled at one time. And in turn, I had an opportunity to go to the Pro Bowl in '95 because of all that.
You talk about the Pro Bowl. You set a record-long 92-yard pass to Yancey Thigpen. What was that like for you to be selected to an all-star game like that and really just step right in and contribute in such a big game like that for you?
That was awesome. First of all, I didn't even know it was a record until I think at the end of the games, the stat guys come up and say, hey, you just broke a record, a Pro Bowl record. So, which was exciting because nobody's broken it since. Nobody's broken that record. So at least I still have that to hang on my hat. So that was awesome. I had a great time at the Pro Bowl. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of great guys. And those are memories that, that will never go away, and you always have those kind of memories and things that you can share with your kids and your grandkids and your friends.
You talk about memories. What was your most memorable experience playing in the NFL?
Probably in 2004 when I had opportunity. I was playing with the Philadelphia Eagles and had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. I had been playing in the league for 13 years. I hadn't got a sniff. Hardly ever played in the playoffs, because I played with Cincinnati and played with New Orleans at the time, which is not a good team. Played with the Cardinals, which was not a good team. It seemed like I always ended up on those types of teams. But having an opportunity to play with the Eagles and go to the Super Bowl and be able to experience all the Super Bowl has, I think that was probably one of my highlights of the NFL.
You were a backup quarterback at times, a formidable QB. Did you pride yourself on being able to back guys up or being able to stay mentally ready to step right in when necessary?
I did, but I always wanted to play. I'm very competitive. I never wanted to sit anywhere behind anybody. But if those were the cards I was dealt at the time, I played my role, and I did my job like I was supposed to do. But if the opportunity came for me to have opportunity to play, I was going to take advantage of that opportunity.
Longtime NFL quarterback, formidable veteran. You bounced around the league a little bit. What do you think what was the reason for that? I mean, you played on the Saints, the Ravens, the Bears, the Jets, the Bengals, but you were a very good quarterback. You had over 100 touchdowns in your career. Great career, real solid veteran guy. What was the biggest reason for you not finding that niche after Cincinnati?
A lot of people don't realize the NFL is very political. And when it comes to coaches, when it comes to players, every coach has to have his guy. Either if it's a coach that he coached with somewhere down the line, when coaching staffs, when a new head coach get a head coaching job, well, he's gonna bring his staff with him, and they're gonna bring his guys with him, guys that he can trust and be loyal to. Really, I only had one coach that I was actually his guy, and that was Bruce. All the other coaches had their guy. When I got to New Orleans, Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator, and Mike McCarthy was in Green Bay before he came to New Orleans, and he had drafted Aaron Brooks in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. We had picked up Aaron off of waivers, and Aaron was our third-string quarterback in 2001. 2000, I got hurt. Aaron came in and did a good job, got us in the playoffs for the first time in Saints history. And I knew right then I was on thin ice. But like I said, Aaron was Mike's guy. And in 2001, they never gave me the opportunity to win my job back. And usually you lose your job to injury, but that year I did. And that's what happened with the New Orleans Saints. And then 2002 at Baltimore, then again, I wasn't Brian Billick's guy. I played that 2002 season, played very well, and they were going to draft a quarterback that year, the next year, which happened to be Kyle Bowler. So we see how that worked out. So like I said, I wasn't Billick's guy.
Right.
And then, plus me and Billy didn't get along anyway. I didn't think nobody really got along with Brian Billick. But
why was that?
I don't know. I think sometimes people get beside themselves. Sometimes can be controlling, and you got to control every situation instead of just letting it flow. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes in certain situations, he wanted to control certain things. And really, he always had a decent team, always had a good team, especially a great defensive team. But you notice his offenses never were prolific offenses. And he was an offensive-minded coach, so that kind of disturbed me.
You talk about letting it flow a little bit. In my opinion, you see the league changing a little bit as far as the head coaches go. I find that the teams are responding to the younger head coaches, aka Mike Tomlin, doing a great job. Would that have been great for you to play under a young head coach, almost just a couple years older than you? Maybe that would have changed things a little bit. Guys that would have been able to relate to you a little bit more.
It's all about having that relationship with your players, and that's why some players say, "Man, he's a player's coach. I can play with this guy. He understands. One, maybe because he played the game at some point, or two, he's been around the game so much, he understands what we go through as players. And everybody's different. You push everybody's buttons differently. Some guys you can yell at, some guys you can't. Some guys you can, you have to be, mindful of what you say because they get their feelings hurt. Some guys are sensitive, so you got to know your guys. You got to know the temperament of your guys. And you got to be able to push them and get them to play at a high level. And some coaches are very good at that, and some coaches aren't. Sometimes some coaches take their players out of the game mentally, which is dumb. And but a lot of coaches who get it, they have very successful teams.
You talk about Mike McCarthy, head coach of the Packers. He's in the Super Bowl. When you see him on the sidelines on Sunday, what's gonna stick out in your mind? What do you remember most about Mike McCarthy?
Don't get me wrong, Mike is a great coach. He is. He's very methodical. He definitely is a dot the I's, cross the T's type of coach. You're going to go over every play against every coverage, understand every blitz, every protection. You're going to know the offense and you're going to know the game plan before you step on the field. Now it's up to you as the quarterback to execute the game plan. So Aaron Rodgers will be ready to play. The Packers will be ready to play. Everybody will be ready game plan wise. Now it's just all boils down how they execute on that day. But what I definitely remember about Mike McCarthy, he's definitely going to make sure everybody's ready to play and know their assignments. There will be no missed assignments, I can bet you that.
I want to talk about your career a little bit again. The shake and bake, Shake and Blake, and really doing your thing in Cincinnati. What allowed you to have such a great stint in Cincy, and what was different about Cincinnati than anywhere else for you?
One, maybe because, like I said, I had that backing and I had that comfortability with my coach of that loyalty, knowing that he was going to give me the opportunity to play, and he wasn't going to take me out the first mistake I made. He was going to let me grow and let me have the opportunity to be a quarterback and to continue to learn. And I flourished, because I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I was able to make a mistake and be able to learn from that mistake and keep growing. That's why I think I was very successful in Cincinnati and having an opportunity to just go out and ball, and enjoyed it. And I played very well, and I enjoyed playing well. I enjoyed competing. I enjoyed playing a game of football. It's been a part of my life for a very long time. And having that opportunity to do it at that high level, I just took advantage of the situation and just ran with it.
You talk about football being a big part of your life. Now your son, Emory Blake, playing at Auburn, a great wide receiver. What's that like for you to be able to watch him grow in front of your eyes and eventually transition into the NFL and follow your footsteps?
It's awesome. I'm so proud of him to have a son to play at that high level at college sports, playing in the SEC and being able to play for the national championship and be able to contribute in the national championship by catching a touchdown. That's awesome. What father wouldn't want that for their son, to be able to go out and be that successful as a true sophomore and have an opportunity to play at that stage? I couldn't ask for a better script, for my son.
He scored a touchdown in the national championship, as you spoke about, for the Auburn Tigers. They won the game. He led his team with touchdowns, and 8 touchdowns. What words do you have for him to keep him focused, stay humble, and move forward to help catapult him to that next level?
I think the main thing is make sure that he stays humble and make sure he continue to work hard, continue to do the things that got him to where he is today. In other words, don't change what you're doing. Evidently, what you've been doing is working. Continue to work hard. Make sure he gets his grades so he can play. A lot of kids forget about that, being a student athlete. That's what you're there for, to get your degree. You're there to go to school, but you're also there to play football, and that's the definition of a student athlete. And you're not the same as everybody else on campus. You're different. Why? Because you are an athlete, and so you stand out. Everybody knows who you are, so you have to be able to carry yourself and be able to respect others and be able to respect yourself. And I think if he continue to do those things, which I know he will, he continue to be successful at Auburn and the next level also.
We look forward to watching him get drafted one day and continue his career at Auburn as well. Let's talk about what Jeff Blake is up to outside of football. What are you up to off the field?
Well, right now I'm doing some consulting work, and I'm doing one of my business partners is a lobbyist in the state of Texas, and I'm doing some consulting work with him, and hopefully maybe one day in the next year or two, maybe have an opportunity to run myself, maybe for a state representative office. So I think I'm really getting into the politics. I never was a big politician, but now I'm really starting to understand how it makes our country work, and it's starting to intrigue me. And so I'm doing some of that. Also, I have my own training company that I have, and we train mostly high school kids. We train middle school and some elementary school kids. And I only train quarterbacks and receivers, because you can't have one without the other. That's my motto. It's fun. I enjoy it. I've been doing it. I started with Emory, and then I picked up Russell Shepard. I picked up a couple of other guys, top high school guys in the state of Texas. Russell plays for LSU, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy giving back to those kids. I enjoy taking all the knowledge that I've learned over those 14 years in the NFL and spreading it to them. And it's definitely benefited Emory, and it's definitely benefited Russell. Because both of them start for their teams, and they start as freshmen and as sophomores. So I really enjoy training the kids, and I really enjoy being a part of their lives. Not only just the football stuff, but off the field too. Being a mentor to them and making sure that they're respecting their parents, and make sure they're getting their schoolwork, and make sure they're living their lives like they're supposed to be living outside of the football field.
Well, you can give a first-hand experience of what it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL. How can parents enroll their kids in what you're up to right now? How can they get in touch with you?
They can go to my website. It's called EliteTrainingSessions.com. They can go on there and register, and I have my training times. Mostly train out of Austin, but I will be in Dallas this year. We'll be doing some camps in Dallas, and I will be in Atlanta. So I'm starting to spread it around a little bit. And these are elite training camps. There's not a mega training camp where you're going to have 100 and 200 kids. I'm going to have no more than 20 to 40 kids, mainly 20 quarterbacks, 20 receivers. Mm-hmm. And when we train, not only do we do fundamentals, mechanics, and the football stuff, the football skill stuff, but we talk about the philosophy of the game and the position that you play. We go over the X's and O's. We learn how to break down film. We learn how to critique yourself and grade yourself when you play, so you know what you're doing and how to. Because if you don't know what you're doing wrong, you can't correct yourself. Mm-hmm. So being able to correct yourself as a player, instead of the coach having to correct you all the time, because the coach is not on the field playing with you. So when you're on the field, you need to be able to correct yourself. All right. So, and those are the type of things that we also bring to the table. So we try to create the complete football player, not just the skill guy, but the mental aspect of the game also. Right.
You talked about quarterback, receiver, can't have one without the other. Who was your favorite receiver to throw to back in the day?
I had a duo, Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott, and both guys played their role. I would pick on some deep passes, but Darnay was my deep ball guy, and Carl was my short game guy. I'd get the ball in his hands, he'd run down the field and score, or throw him jump balls in the end zone, fade routes and stuff like that. So, I had a nice little duo between those two, so I really like those two guys. And then also, when I went to Arizona, Anquan Bolden, his rookie year, he was a real good receiver for me. He caught 100 balls his rookie year. Actually went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie, so he did a real good job for me.
You talked about Bolden. Would you say he's one of the toughest receivers in the league?
Oh yeah, I mean he looks it, and I'm very proud to see how much he's grown and developed as a premier NFL receiver, and he has respect out on the football field. That's all you can ask for.
Q always said he wanted to be a number one wide receiver. He had a tremendous year with Baltimore this past season, really filling that number one wide receiver void that Baltimore hasn't had. But in the postseason against the Steelers, he dropped a big ball in the end zone. I'm sure he's still thinking about that. How do you bounce back from something like that when you have such a long layover, 9 months until you really get back on that football field again?
Every time you go out and train, you think about that catch. You think about that ball you drop. It's going to make him train harder, and that it'll probably never happen again, because he probably won't let himself live that down anyway. So it will never happen again.
And you spoke about Carl and Scott. I know that you helped them lead them to a receiving title. You ever hit them up on that, or they say, hey Jeff, thanks for helping me out that year? Do you guys still keep in touch?
We do sometime. I've seen Carl. I think I seen him last year at some football camps and something like that. And I haven't seen Darnay in a while. Maybe talked to him maybe 2 years ago. But this is why I like coming to Super Bowl, because you have opportunity to see all the guys you haven't seen in a while, and it's like a big family reunion. Mm-hmm. It's like coming to a big alumni party, and have an opportunity to meet a lot of the guys that you lived your lives with for years. And sometimes, I lived my life with those guys for 5 years. Mm-hmm. We were brothers. And that's one thing I like about the NFL. It's a great fraternity to be in.
Off the field, any pregame rituals, anything sticks out in your mind, some of the fun things you guys used to do before the game or during practice?
We would go out and warm up, and we listened to Carl tell jokes. He was a great Richard Pryor impersonator. And he would just do all kinds of stuff during the game and before the game, and it would just keep us on our toes, and it was hilarious. So we spent probably, 20% of pregame just laughing at him. He'd go over to the referees and he'd mess with them and pull their socks down, and, tell him about other DBs that's holding. He saw him on film holding. He need to watch that guy and make sure he don't hold him. Stuff like that. So we was always excited, and it just kept us going. It kept us ready for the game, and it definitely kept the nerves down. So actually, it was good for us.
It's real intriguing that you want to get into politics. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind that you want to address if you're given the opportunity?
I think everyone should, really take advantage of our government systems. There's a lot of programs out there that's available for people they're not utilizing. A lot of money that's out there that's available for people they're not utilizing, especially our minority community. And they take the time to get educated on those programs that are available for them. A lot of situations that they're in now, they can actually have opportunity to get out of those situations.
Jeff, as a longtime quarterback in the league, did you enjoy playing in the dome a little bit better than playing outside in the cold weather? What was that? What was the biggest difference for you as a quarterback?
It wasn't necessarily being in a dome or outside. It was more for me of what kind of turf I was playing on, because then it was AstroTurf. That means it was third-degree carpet burns, which I didn't like. I rather played on grass. So now it's not like the sports turf they have now. You don't get as many carpet burns. You'll get the small ones now, but not like where it takes off half of your skin. So I hated playing on the AstroTurf. I hated that. Because quarterbacks, we had to slide. So when you slide, you skin up the whole side of your leg, and it was horrible. So I rather played on grass, regardless if it was indoors or out. As long as it was grass, I was happy.
Is there anything specific that sticks out in your mind right now with the league that needs to be addressed? Obviously, the CBA is glooming. What's going on with that? And what do you think, if you had the choice, what would you change about the league right now?
One of the things I would change is more players that are current and retired being more active in the decisions that the NFL makes. It's like they make decisions and they don't really ask us as players. And they kind of do by going through the NFL Players Association, and they just bang heads all the time. But there's no league if the players are not playing. So I think they really need to consider what the players want, because there's enough money in there for everybody. It really is. And sometimes greed takes over. And I think if they realize and they look back and just see, hey, everybody's making money. Everybody should be happy. Let's see what the guys want. Let's see how we're going to not only take care of them now, but even when they retire. Because as an owner, they're making me a lot of money, okay? And how can I take care of these guys, and instead of treating the guys like commodities, and treat them like family, and honor the guys after they retire. I think every guy should be honored after they retire, somehow, some way.
You speak about being honored. When I think about you and your career, the Cincinnati Bengals stick out in my mind, only to find out that you never really were given that proper due back in Cincy. So you speak about that, and you're a longtime Cincinnati Bengal. I think that'd be great for them to be doing something like that for you. What's your thought on that?
Well, I would love that, but that's not my choice. That would be something that maybe if I called them and asked them for it, maybe they may do it. Maybe I should reach out to them and see. I'm not gonna blame them for it.
Right.
Maybe they may not think I want it.
Right.
So, but in Cincinnati, I had a great time in Cincinnati. They gave me my first shot and gave me my first opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the city. I'm very grateful for the Browns and for Bruce Cosler for giving me an opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to stop by, and if they ever make that call, you ever make that call, we'd love to come to Cincinnati and get some coverage of that on Class Act Sports.
That'd be great.
So thank you.
Thank
you.
We
appreciate it, and we wish you and your son the best of luck moving forward in the NFL. And thanks for stopping by.
All right, thank you.
From Class Act Sports, I'm Jared Ginsberg. That's the one and only Jeff Blake.